Welcome back to Pause to Unedit Yourself, a podcast where reflection meets transformation, where we explore the art of becoming one intentional pause at a time. I'm your host, Anushka, and each episode offers you a chance to press pause and explore bite sized insights and soulful reflections from my own journey of introspection, in the hope it will help you too on your path of personal evolution. Whether you're feeling stuck, seeking clarity, or simply wanting to expand, my hope is that this becomes a space of inspiration and deep remembering, guiding you to evolve from within and uncover the infinite potential that lives inside each and every one of you. Today's episode is a deep dive into a feeling, an emotion we all experience in our lives, which can imprison us and destroy us if we allow it to. And that is suffering. I started to explore this concept of suffering in more detail when I went to Vipassana, which is a 10-day silent meditation last year. And I wanted to explore and understand the root cause of it because Vipassana is all about the root cause of what suffering is. So today I wanted to share with you some of these thoughts and a few perspectives on what I have discovered and what I've explored on why we suffer. So, suffering, it is a universal human experience. And it takes many shapes and forms of grief, of fear, of anxiety, and heartbreak. And Buddhism actually teaches, it says, is to be human is to suffer. But have you ever wondered what that root cause of suffering is? And if I told you that suffering, it's not an absolute, it is a choice based on perspective. So let's explore. Some say that suffering is rooted in time. That is true. Why? Because when we grieve for what has passed, and that's past. And when we fear, and that fear and that anxiety, again, we're suffering, that's rooted in what is to come, and that's the future. And so there's time attached to both of these sufferings. And when you think about it, that aspect of depression, it often pulls us backwards. It anchors us to a moment that has long gone, something in the past, and we have that on repeat, a narrative. Um, and hence we suffer. And anxiety, it drags us forward. We worry about what hasn't happened yet. And that's in the future. And so there is that aspect of time. And so anxiety is rooted in the fear of the unknown. What if I don't have enough? What if I won't be okay? And both of these thoughts that we have that are rooted in the past and the future, what it actually robs us of is the present, the miracle of the present moment. And that's why we suffer. The past, it's already done and dusted, it's gone. And the future, well, it's yet to be shaped. And the truth is, thinking you are not enough, actually, you are already enough. I deep dived into the aspect of worthiness. I think it was in episode 13. So do go and have a listen to it. And you see, the future, it does not exist. And I say this to everyone that I I speak to nowadays. And, when they get trapped into the what ifs, I said, "Oh, I'm saving for the future. I'm saving for this. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared." What have you ever been to the future? Truly, have you ever been to the future? No, because the only moment you have is right here, right now. And this is coming from somebody who it was a serial planner. I mean, I used to plan my whole life a year ahead, you know, holidays, you know, outings, etc. I mean, I literally don't do that anymore. I'm consciously trying to be in the present moment because as soon as we start worrying, that anxiety, that overwhelm takes over, and all we have is this present moment. And that overwhelm, you end up suffering. And so that aspect of true peace is found in that radical acceptance of what is in the here and now. This and this quote by Eckhart Tolle says, "You don't need to look for peace. If you fully accept your present moment, peace arises naturally." Unquote. So peace is found in the radical acceptance of what is. And so, if we take it one step deeper from time and we explore another layer, and that layer of suffering is fear. And that fear is often related to death. It's not only related to the physical death, but if we look at it, it's also can be the death of what was, what we have built, what we have created, what our lives are, the version of you that no longer fits. Because you see, we evolve and grow every single day. And sometimes, we fear who we are becoming on this journey because we do have to let go. And that aspect is a death. And what happens is that we often suffer when we fight this natural process of transformation. And that transformation is ego death, right? And ego death, it really feels scary. And why is that? Because, from a young age, when we develop the ego, we start to absorb lessons about what it means to be good, what it means to be successful, what it means to be worthy. And what happens is that the ego, it actually seeks security in these definitions and these comparisons. And it strives to separate us from this uncertainty because the ego likes to keep us in a comfort zone. Anything unknown, the ego fears. And that's probably where the saying, comparison is the thief of all joy, comes from. And so, in doing so, what happens is that the ego creates this life. It's structured around perceived needs and fears and self image. And although the ego's purpose, it is valuable, it's primarily survival based. And it's that part of us that wants to avoid pain and ensure our safety. And so the ego says, "But I worked so hard to become this person. Why would I want to let go of this identity? I strived, I struggled to become this person." But then growth whispers, that version is complete. You're ready for the next. And every time we shed what no longer serves us, we die a little. Through this death, we are then reborn. So fear isn't the enemy. And when you stop fighting this fear, it literally transforms you. You flow. One of the things that I've really understood when things have become hard and you put your heart and soul into something and it doesn't work out is understanding that you can't destroy energy. Energy only changes its form. And so suffering is often the resistance to that change. And I want to take it even one step deeper. Now, we've gone through two layers of suffering: time and fear. And so when I explored the notion of time as suffering and also fear as suffering, I delved even deeper and I wanted to understand even more. And the next layer that I wanted to explore with you is around the root cause of suffering, which is in our thoughts. Our thoughts create our reality, which means we have the power to end our suffering. So, what is it about our thoughts that make us suffer, right? So, I explored this and I was like, well, our thoughts create this illusion of separation from ourselves, from love, from safety, and from the truth of who we are. To so the way out of the suffering is to end the illusion that keeps us trapped in fear, in limitation, and in lack. So let me break it down and let's just explore this deeper. We literally live in the prisons of our mind. And if we explore our mindset that we operate from is fear. And that fear is when we believe we are not enough. For example, what are people going to think? I'm not good enough for this. I'm not good enough for that. And this belief in lack causes us to suffer. This mindset of fear, this emotion of fear leads to suffering. So whether we're fearing for our health, whether we're fearing our relationships, and that suffering manifests in different ways through anxiety, through stress, through disconnection, and even in physical disease. And because we're trapped in this suffering of fear, we basically seek a temporary escape through addictions. Not just substances, but anything that numbs the pain: work, relationships, any kind of distractions. And, ultimately, everyone is searching for freedom. And what they think it is that freedom is something external. Because of this mindset, you end up feeling you need to escape. You see the world rather than as a place to explore, but as a place that will set you free. And so what happens is that you go on this search, traveling the world, indulging in substances to dissolve the pain of what it is you're searching for. But ultimately, numbing suffering does not break you free from it. So the deeper you stay in this cycle, the more you reinforce this illusion that suffering is unavoidable. And so the alternative to fear is freedom. And what is freedom? It's a state of pure love, it's a state of limitless potential and deep connection. And so the way out of suffering is not to change your circumstance, but it is to change your perspective. Because when you shift your perspective, what happens? Your reality changes. Think of your mind like a blank canvas. And You are the artist who decides what to paint. True freedom, I realized, is not about avoiding pain, but it's about no longer being at the effect of it. Because in reality, when you really break it down, underneath all of the pain and limitation, we're really battling three core wounds. One, I am not safe. Two, I am not enough. And three, I am not loved. And every struggle we experience in life can be traced back to one or more of these root beliefs. And what I realized is that people don't suffer of external events, they suffer because of the meaning they attach to those events. And the addictions, the anxiety, the self sabotage, or feelings of inadequacy are just byproducts of these unhealed wounds. And the part of you that wants to die is not you, it's actually the part that no longer serves you and is ready to be released. So you must be wondering, yes, this is a deep dive episode, and where do I start? What can I do? Well, to break free, we must do inner work. And that inner work is something that is very difficult for one to do, because that means you have to press pause, you have to sit, and you have to reflect and question. People find it very, very difficult to sit with their own thoughts because it makes us uncomfortable. Things come up and we don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to give you a few questions over here so that you can start this process of inner work. Okay. One, what did I see as painful in childhood? Two, what did it feel like to not fit in as a child? Three, when did I first start believing something is wrong with me? Four, what made me feel like being myself was not enough? And five, how has that belief shaped the way I live my life today? It's pretty deep questions, right? Everything that we believe about ourselves, those programs all start in our childhood. And that is why it's sometimes very, very hard for us to sit and reflect, because it means bringing up things that we might have compartmentalized, that we might have parked. And when we start realizing that, we spend our lives constantly trying to prove ourselves, we're actually trapped in this victim mindset. But in reality, all it is just a story, it's just words, it's not who we are. So, what if we let go of those beliefs, of those words that we keep telling ourselves, and we step into a completely new way of being? So today's episode, I feel, might bring up quite a lot for everyone. So I leave you today with some final thoughts. You are already free. You don't need to escape your reality. What you need to do is to wake up to the illusion that keeps you trapped. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to unlearn the limitations you've been conditioned to believe. And when you release fear and shift into the possibility, you create a life of freedom, of expansion, and effortless joy. So I leave you with this reflection. What part of you is afraid to die? And what part of you is quietly waiting to be reborn? Thank you for your time here today and sharing this space with me. And thank you for pressing pause and choosing to journey inward and daring to become the highest expression of yourself. As always, I use these episodes as reminders for myself, like mini guides that you can refer to whenever you need a check in with yourself for a moment of recalibration. So do feel free to save them and please do share them with someone who might need to hear them. And do share your comments and feedback too. It will help me to know what resonates for you and what you would like to hear more of. See you on the next episode.